His influence endures, and his stories continue to inspire readers with their portrayals of resilience and human goodness. In The Best Investment I Ever Made, Cronin narrates a touching real-life incident from his life. Learning about the boy's unfortunate circumstances, Cronin felt sympathy and chose not to involve the authorities. Hello students, I am Anil, Assistant Professor of English, Vidhyaashram First Grade College, the Temple of Excellence, MYSURU. In this session, we are going to look at a short story titled The Best Investment I Ever Made, prescribed for the students of BCA first semester. Before we get into the story, let us know something about the author. AJ Cronin is the author of The Best Investment I Ever Made. Archibald Joseph Cronin, popularly known as AJ Cronin, was a Scottish novelist and physician. He is a doctor born in 1896. His background in medicine deeply influenced his writing, as he often explored themes of compassion, moral courage, and the struggles of individuals facing ethical dilemmas. Cronin began his career as a doctor, working in diverse environments from remote Scottish villages to urban hospitals, and his experiences led him to become acutely aware of societal issues, especially the hardships of the working class. He transitioned from medicine to writing in the year 1930, and his debut novel, Hatter's Castle, became an instant success. Some of his best-known works include The Citadel, The Keys of the Kingdom, and The Green Years. Cronin's compassionate and insightful storytelling has resonated worldwide, as his works often highlight the need for empathy and integrity in the complex world. His influence endures, and his stories continue to inspire readers with their portrayals of resilience and human goodness. So this is a brief introduction about AJ Cronin. He was a physician, and this short story was an actual story of his own experience. Now let us get into the story, The Best Investment I Ever Made. What is an investment? An investment is something that we do today and we expect profit out of it in the future. So this story, what is the investment about? Where is this doctor investing? What is he doing? Let us look at the story and know. In The Best Investment I Ever Made, Cronin narrates a touching real-life incident from his life, exploring themes of kindness, redemption, and the impact of compassion on others. So once you read this story, The Best Investment I Ever Made, you would know that compassion has a deeper effect on others. The story begins with Cronin on a sea voyage where he encounters a person named Mr. John and his wife, Mrs. John, a couple who seem vaguely familiar. But in the beginning, AJ Cronin notices that these two people were curiously looking at him, but they did not make any attempt to come near him and talk. But they were just staring at him always. So this intrigued AJ Cronin, and then from the stewards of the ship, he got to know that they were couple, John and Mrs. John. Later, Cronin recalls how he had once saved Mr. John's life during his medical practice, a memory that becomes the focus of the story. So then, on the final day before they reach New York, the couple comes to him. Mr. John speaks to AJ Cronin and he introduces himself. Then the story becomes very clear to all the readers. Now, before we get into this story, let me explain something that happens on the ship. This man, Mr. John, was staring at Dr. Cronin, and he did want to talk to him, but he did not have the courage. But before the final day, he goes to AJ Cronin and he talks to him with the help of his wife. Then he says what he was doing. Now, John, yes, was a solicitor. He was a lawyer, and he was working as the director of an organization which was working for the youth welfare. Those people who were destitutes, those people who were not taken care of by the society. This couple was looking for such kind of people, training them with necessary life skills and making them good human beings, and again introducing them to the mainstream of the society. So this is what Mr. and Mrs. John were doing so far. And listening to this story, AJ Cronin was touched. But till now, AJ Cronin did not get to know who this man was. And finally, AJ Cronin asks him, what is the motivation for you to do such a good job? When he asked this, Mr. John was really surprised and says, Doctor, you still did not recognize me. And when this was said, AJ Cronin realizes that, oh, have I met him? Then he says, no, I don't really get. Then Mr. John tells his story. What is the story? 25 years ago, in the suburbs of London, John was an orphan. John was an orphan. He lost his parents and he had an uncle. He did not want to take care of this boy, John. So what he does, he makes John to work as a clerk to one of the solicitors in London. So there, Mr. John, he was alone. He did not have good friends. He was a very shy-natured boy. So he made bad company. Due to bad company and betting on horses. So he wanted to make quick money. As we all think that betting on horses and doing other things, we may get rich instantly. We have all that thing in our mind. Similarly, this boy also did the same. He got into the bad company. He started betting on the horses. He had accrued significant debt and felt hopeless and stole 7 pounds 10 shillings from the office safe for the final gamble. So what he did, he lost everything that he had. He pledged all his belongings to one of the bookkeepers who lent money for bigger interest rates. So when everything was lost, this boy, little John, he thought that, okay, I'll steal some money from the solicitor's office safe and I'll have a final gamble and I'll win everything that I have lost so far. And when he did that, he steals 7 pounds 10 shillings and then he bets on the horses. He loses. Losing the final bet, fearing the law, driven to despair, he attempted suicide, feeling he had no way out. So now this boy who was deeply hurt, who did not have any good friends, he did not have any good company, what he did, he shuts himself in the little attic where he lived and he turns on the illuminating gas. So here, he tried to attempt suicide. And then what happens? This was the story. He tried to attempt suicide. When Cronin, a young doctor, was called to help, he managed to save Mr. John's life. So suddenly, at that night, when Cronin was a young doctor, there was a bang on the door. He comes out, it was the middle of the night. Then the police, there was a cop. He tells Dr. John, he tells Dr. Cronin that a suicide case is there and he had to attend it right away. And since he was a doctor in the earlier stage of his career, he said, okay, and he went to look at the suicide case. There when he went, he saw a little boy stretched on the bed. There was the landlady and the cop and he himself. So they tried hard for 1 hour. They did everything to bring back this unconscious child into life, but it was of no use. Learning about the boy's unfortunate circumstances, Cronin felt sympathy and chose not to involve the authorities. They tried hard to get this boy from unconsciousness state to life, but it was of no use. Then, when they were about to give it up, they thought that, okay, this is completely useless. The boy is dead. When he wanted to declare and give it up, suddenly the boy took a deep breath. He had this convulsive gasp and then he slowly regained consciousness. When the boy got back his consciousness, they redoubled their efforts and made this boy to sit. And when he was all okay, then he started telling his story, what might have happened to him. Then he tells the entire story. He was an orphan. Then his uncle made him to work as a clerk in a solicitor's office. He gambled, he had bad company, then he lost everything. And finally, he stole money from the office safe. He bet that on horses and lost. And finally, when there was no escape from all the proceedings that was there for him, so he started to throw away his life. He thought of throwing away his life. Suddenly, what happened? Now, learning the story of this boy, AJ Cronin thinks that, oh, this is a very serious situation. Then the landlady says, okay, let us give a second chance to this boy. There were only landlady, the cop, and AJ Cronin with this boy. It was middle of the hour. So the landlady decided, okay, until you are back on your foot to work, you can stay here without paying the rent for a month or so. And the cop said, okay, I'll take a calculated risk. I won't report this case of theft. You take a second chance. And finally, it was the turn of AJ Cronin. He says, okay, now how much was the amount that he stole? And this boy says it was only $7. He did not say it was only $7. He said $7, 10 shillings. When he said $7, 10 shillings, those three were really shocked. They thought for a meager sum, this boy was ready to throw away his life. And AJ Cronin decides that, okay, I would pay that. He gives £7, 10 shillings to keep back in the safe. Then everything happens. Instead, he and the cop provided financial assistance to help him rebuild his life, a decision that Cronin retrospectively describes as his best investment. With renewed hope and a fresh start, Mr. John transformed his life, eventually becoming a respected solicitor. Over the years, becoming the director of an organization that dedicated itself to helping troubled young people, he channeled his own experience into meaningful contributions to society. His gratitude for Cronin's kindness and understanding led to a lifelong bond with Mr. John and his wife, expressing deep appreciation for the support he received in his time of need. So after that, AJ Cronin forgets the incident. But what did that little boy do? He grows up into a very good human being in society. He becomes the solicitor. And he starts helping the people who were in same situations just like he was in. The story reflects Cronin's belief in the potential for people to change when given support and a second chance. This point is very important out of this story, the best investment. Through this experience, Cronin reaffirms that compassion can have profound effects not only on individuals but on society as a whole. By investing in Mr. John's future, Cronin inadvertently impacted countless lives, making this act of kindness his most valuable investment in his life. So therefore, he titles this heart-touching incident as the best investment I ever made. He invested in human beings. He invested how much? Only £7, 10 shillings. Then now he is looking at the returns that he is getting. So therefore, an act of kindness will impact the society as a whole. That is the summary of this story, the best investment I ever made. Therefore, AJ Cronin recalls the story of Mr. John. Mr. John is a wonderful human being now. He is working for the betterment of many other people. So he saved one, and that one is saving many lives who are in trouble. So therefore, his small investment had given him a better return when compared to the other worldly investments. With this, we shall meet in the next class. Thank you.